Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is October the 10th, 2024. Hopefully this episode finds you well, in good spirits, and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. Thursday treated me well. It's my favorite day, so that's always good. Work is work. Working in October is always like, it just feels like you're at the start of a hill, a pretty steep hill in a way, but like you can handle it. That's how I would describe my Octobers usually. But yeah, overall today was good. I definitely, I hate when I like find myself bored at work, because that's usually the only time and place for that 8 hours that I am like likely to get bored like that, right? Unless I have like a weekend at home and like I done gamed out and I'm like kind of just like, well, what do I want to do now? But yeah, so I always hate that, but I know I'm always like listening to something, and usually if I enjoy what I'm listening to, which is usually like a podcast or something like that, I'm usually in a good state of mind, a good state of being. So, overall, no real complaints. Let's see here. Food corner from last night. I made soup. Some chicken tortilla soup and some bread. I tried to keep it simple. I noticed ever since I got sick and came out of that and was like in my like little, I'm in my gym shit, yada, yada, yada. I kind of realized like, maybe I should try to integrate soup into the weekly routine. So we're still debating that, but I feel like we're leaning more toward the yes, that's a good idea. We should be souping up. It's kind of the best time of the year to be doing soup, you know what I mean? So, and I feel like it's probably like a better, I shudder to say healthier because y'all know my usual options. But like I feel like it's just a healthier option than maybe what I have been doing. So, we'll take it. We'll take it, right? Baby steps, no? But yeah, overall, good day. Let's see here. Nothing else to really report on the personal news corner tip. I feel like I'm good, done blogging. Let's go ahead and do our startup and we'll get into some news. All right. From Reuters. Israeli airstrike kills 28 people sheltering in Gaza school. An Israeli airstrike on a school sheltering displaced people in central Gaza killed at least 28 people, including women and children, on Thursday, while 3 hospitals in the north were told to evacuate, putting patients' lives at risk, medics said. The strike, in which many more were wounded, occurred in the city of Deir al-Balah, where 1 million people have taken shelter after fleeing fighting elsewhere after more than a year. Obviously, there's a lot more here, but sadly, Israel is doing this shit on multiple fronts, so, I am going to move to the next thing. But sadly, as well, this is just more of the same routine where they want to talk about saying, hey, we did a precise strike. It was on. We actually killed this many people. I think they say they killed like 12 Hamas members. And it's like, dog, this does not balance out. This does not equal out, brother. You just are continuing this fucking same bloody campaign, blowing up schools, blowing up hospitals where people are supposed to be safe. And then you're telling these other these people, okay, you can evacuate to a safe area. There's no way anyone believes that. You're most likely just going to use the same excuse and blow them up there too. Like what in the fuck? Like it never adds up. But yet here we are. I'm covering this shit, man, now like every other day at this clip usually, and I'm not even doing it proper justice or due diligence. You know what I'm saying? So once again, we got to kind of keep it moving here. From BBC, 22 killed in Israeli strikes on Beirut, Lebanon says. 22 people have been killed and 117 injured in Israeli airstrikes on central Beirut on Thursday evening, Lebanon's health ministry said. Excuse me. BBC reporters heard loud explosions echoing from the site of the strikes in Bachura, I'm sure I'm getting that wrong, a small Shia area in the capital. Rescuers were seen digging through the rubble at the scene. Ambulances rushed many injured to American University Hospital. Unconfirmed media reports suggested the apparent target was Wafiq Safa, assassinated Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah's brother-in-law and a high-ranking security official in the group. Hezbollah's media office has not commented. It is, once again, I've talked about this tactic that they've been trying to do in Gaza with Hamas, where they're like, hey, maybe we can't get the wins that we really want, but if we take out all of these leaders, if we quote unquote, I don't want to say quote unquote, but like metaphorically show enough heads, if you will, then we can kind of show a victory to our people, and that will be good. That's good numbers. That's good metrics for us. That's essentially why they're doing this, because they know they're not stopping this issue, this problem. They know that they are more or less going to have to occupy Lebanon in order to stop these missile strikes that are happening in northern Israel. They know that. But they don't really want to say that, so they kind of want to keep trying to generate these wins at any cost to the actual people in this area. They don't really care about that. They're not really concerned. It's like, once again, if this makes people in Israel happy, then we're going to keep doing it. And which is crazy, because you have this super corrupt fucking prime minister who's just running this war to keep himself in power. He's done everything to do that shit, the worst shit. And it's like, we hate him. We don't like this guy. But, like, you know, he is at the end of the day keeping us safe. That's essentially the logic I feel like I'm hearing out of a lot of people in Israel. So it's very disheartening. It's very upsetting. Because it just kind of goes to show that this cycle is just going to continue. Like, people keep, like, the media keeps talking about this, like, push to an all-out war, this fear of it. But it's like, what do you mean? Like, this is happening. It's been happening. It's just, you're just seeing the high velocity, the fucking high death toll shit here. You know what I mean? And it's something that I failed to mention that I picked up learning this week, that the 40,000 number in up, I think it's like 41,000 or so, higher, I don't know, you really should essentially double that, because, you know, we talk about a lot of times where these strikes happen, so many airstrikes, so many bombs, like, you know, they're happening on a daily basis. You're leveling areas, and in a lot of situations you are getting the best number you can in this situation. You're not able to get through all the rubble. That's going to take years to do. So you really do have to start hitting these multipliers on these things, which is just so sad, because, once again, these numbers do not matter to Israel. It's all about, quote unquote, protecting ourselves. Remember October 7th, you know, the right of self-defense. It has allowed them to do all of these things in their mind, in their eyes. And it's just like, how, dude? And in this situation, once again, I'm not even going through all the meat of it, but I mean, you have situations where they're literally firing on, like, UN peacekeepers. And it's like, yeah, we might have, like, put these guys in the hospital. We might have be doing worse, but, like, whatever. You know, they shouldn't be helping terrorists. It's crazy, mad logic to me. But, you know, here we are, you know, as Americans fucking supporting that shit. At least, you know, the powers that fucking be. Crazy fucking shit. Evil fucking shit, dude. But let's talk about forces of nature. Let's talk about Hurricane Milton. From Yahoo News. Milton full coverage. Hurricane downgraded to post-tropical cyclone with at least 10 people killed, 3 million left without power in its destructive path. I think the highest number that I heard so far before going live was 12. That was, I think, per NBC News. But, you know, I definitely think that sadly is a number that's probably going to go up. I know that, you know, it is kind of came and went. We're kind of dealing with the aftermath, the post, a lot of rain, things of that nature. But still, we still got to comb through and kind of add all that up, which is probably going to take some time. But at least 10 people were killed in Florida as tornadoes from Hurricane Milton ripped through the state, officials said on Thursday. More than 3 million homes and businesses in Florida were without power after the storm. Milton was downgraded to a post-tropical cyclone on Thursday. It made landfall late Wednesday as an extremely dangerous Category 3 storm near Siesta Key. The roof of Tropicana Field, home to the Tampa Bay Rays, was ripped off by severe winds. Milton is currently moving northeast off of Florida's coast and continues to pack 75 miles per hour winds, the National Hurricane Center said in its 4 p.m. Eastern Time update. There's a danger of life-threatening storm surge along the coast from east central Florida northward towards southern Georgia, meteorologist said. Now, I mentioned tornadoes. I would say that was definitely like someone broke down on Start Here, ABC News podcast. I believe her name was Ginger Z. You might have said that. I don't know. But essentially, she kind of broke down saying that, one, hurricanes always bring tornadoes with them. But these were a bit different because normally, like, the average hurricane generated tornado is like thinner and not as strong, whereas like this one was like wider and stronger, and it generated like multiples of those. I think one hit like a nursing home area or a place where like elderly were like sheltering, and this elderly couple who had been dating, they passed away. Alejandro Alonso, who's 66, and Mary Grace Viramontes, 70. So yeah, a very unfortunate situation. Loss of life, a lot of property damage. But yeah, definitely heard some crazy stories about how one guy, like I think he was like either a small content creator or something like that. He stayed to try to get $72,000 that he thought he was going to get from like Aiden Ross, a huge little piece of shit. But like Aiden Ross, like I think came in and do the stream or whatever, and was like, "Hey, yo, no, like I'm not doing that actually. You should like get shelter." So that's a womp womp. But I am glad that I was like kind of scrolling through Facebook and seeing a lot of my like Facebook friends saying like, "Hey, I'm safe. Hey, I'm good. Mark's safe. All that." So we love to see that. Obviously, condolences to anyone who maybe lost someone. And shit, not even just like, a sibling or a, spouse, whatever, but like even pets and things of that nature. That's a scary thing. There's so much that goes into these situations. And I know that this was very harrowing just because like this whole week, everyone's like, you gotta evacuate, you gotta do this. And there were people who were like, look, dude, I can't. Like, I do not have the means to do it. I've done it before, prior, yada, yada, yada. But it's like, I have to try to do what I can to hunker down and make it through. And I do think that's something that is lost on a lot of people, that they're like, oh, I can't believe people would just stay for this or da-da-da-da. And it's like, dude, sometimes you really do not have the means to just uproot your life for even half of a week. And sometimes you got to do that shit for more than that. It always depends. And then not to mention, what are you going to come back to? Then you have to put more money into that. Like, there's just so much coming out of this. There's no winners ever. Obviously, your life is the most important thing. So if you can evacuate in these situations, it's highly suggested that you do that. You should do that. It was a certain kind of like morbid moment hearing like shopkeepers and stuff being like, hey, I stayed open so that I could sell people as much stuff as I could, but now I'm trying to close up shop. And then like you see the person like that they have like marker, like their name on their arm, and the reporter or whatever asks them like, well, why do you have that? And it's like, in case something happens to me, like it makes it easier for me to be identified. That is a harsh reality that people living in this area have to deal with. And it's crazy because like when we're talking about the Hurricane Helene situation, you didn't think you're going to have to deal with that kind of shit in, North Carolina, South Carolina, whatever. I think specifically North Carolina got really hit. But that's what I'm saying. Like, you just get blindsided by that. So, like, what can you do? When the radius can be potentially that on any given hurricane, what can you do? So it really is scary fucking times to get hit with like fucking hurricanes like this back to fucking back. If I hear any more crazy stories, interesting things, or just, big updates, I'll try to come back to this. But yeah, man, I hopefully we don't get too many more of these things or any more of these things, God willing, or, whoever you look up to, vibe with, whatever. Y'all feel me. Anyway, let's move on. Let's hit the next beat. From CBS News. Colorado mine accident leaves 1 dead and 4 hurt, sheriff says. Rescue underway for trapped visitors. Bro, this is scary, bro. I feel like I've covered a similar story like this, where people were like on a tour of sorts, like a cave tour, right? I think, and like, it is giving those vibes. Where you wouldn't catch me doing that, but obviously, let's try to lock in and talk about this. What's going on? 1 person was killed and 4 others were injured Thursday during a tour at Colorado's Molly Kathleen Gold Mine. Teller County Sheriff Jason Mikesell said a rescue operation is currently underway to bring 12 people out of the mine. The tourist attraction is located in Cripple Creek. Mikesell said, also, I'm sorry, let me pause. Mikesell is like a chip in like the Midwest, like Mike Sells. So every time I'm saying his name, I think about the chip and I'm hungry. So if you ever catch me doing a pause for the rest of this, I'm sorry. Mikesell said the trolley car that goes down the elevator as part of the tour was down 500 feet when a mechanical issue happened. That led to injuries and the death. So far, it's not clear exactly how the victim died. So that's pretty scary. That's pretty harrowing. Mikesell said the final victim and the 4 people injured were part of a group that was removed from the mine, but there is another group of 12 people, including children, still stuck. Mikesell said that the group, which 1,000 feet underground, is safe and unharmed. So the last part is good. I'm kind of guessing the way that this article is kind of worded that they just need to really repair the elevator, get it back down, and they should be able to get them back up. And if that doesn't work, then they can just send a straight rope down, like a pulley kind of situation, and just get them out. So I don't think this is going to be like a collapse situation. I don't think it's like, super harrowing in the regards of like, well, what do we do? This is very dire. You just have to keep everybody calm and okay, and we just kind of work it out. You know what I mean? So that's good. That's the good news. Obviously, bad news is that someone died in this situation, and that, something like this happened in the first place. Like, that's very... I couldn't imagine. Like, I'm just trying to see some gold or something and get like some authentic mining experience. Well, I'm saying this and it just feels like such a LARP. I would never. Like, no, thank you. Why am I going into some dark fucking cave and mine shaft, whatever the fuck this is? I'm not doing October Sky. If you know, you know. I'm not going down there. You're not catching me in that shit. No, get me out. Actually, don't put me in. What are you doing? You have to pay me, because that means this is a tour, right? That means people paid for this. I hate that. I always hate that shit, bro. Like, this is the kind of shit that keeps me in the house. I'm not saying I'm agoraphobic. Y'all hear me going out at least once a week, okay? Y'all know that's real. But like, nah, yeah, you just couldn't catch me on one of these tours, man. I'm good. I'm so cool on that. But yeah, we'll go ahead and move along from here. Really not much else to say outside of this, but I will definitely give you an update on, the gold mine situation. But yeah, we have one more thing I wanted to cover, and then I'll let you go. It's a bit of an update. I wanted to kind of just shed some light on now that I've gotten like more of I don't even want to say more of a concrete theory, but I guess more theories to kind of chew on, right? And it made it more worth it. Also, shout out to Last Pod, because side stories. I heard this shit on there and I was like, all right, I'm going to cover this one for sure. I'm going to do the update for this one. Also kind of crazy, maybe a little telling, that I would rather cite Last Podcast as a source other than the source I'm about to use, or say I'm using, which is the Daily Mail. I fucking hate the Daily Mail, but it is what it is. I'm sure I got this from another spot, but this works for what we want to use, so, I'm fucking with it. All right. Lawyer for killer Kentucky sheriff reveals the real reason why he shot judge dead. This is clickbait title. I hate it, but like, whatever. once again, it is giving us more theories to work off of. I also want to add, too, there was a theory when I initially covered this that they are going to get into. I could have. I just didn't. Because, once again, I didn't want to trip over myself talking about this shit, which I feel like I'm going to anyway. But like, once again, I've heard other outlets, other podcasts talk about this shit in a little bit more detail, so I feel a little bit more safe to do it. That's right. I'm that kind of guy. All right. Look, I don't have a legal team. Okay. I ain't trying to get sued. All right. Not that I'm worried about that. I'm not even big to be noticed, but like, you never know, man. So I like to make sure the coast is clear. And so yeah, before I start shooting my mouth off about what could be the reason why this sheriff blew a whole judge away on camera. It's crazy. Crazy. Another thing this thing has before we get into it, there are pictures here. Now, granted, they don't get actually morbid, but they show you like stills of the video right up until he does it. So that's a thing if you wind up going on the actual site to see that. But I mean, you can go look it up. You know, I don't think there's audio for it, but once again, everything but if you're like a live leaker type guy or gal. Anyway, the small town Kentucky sheriff who allegedly gunned down a judge inside his chambers was acting in the heat of passion, his defense attorney claimed. So essentially, that's the reason we're getting here. But once again, they go into more theories and reasoning. Sheriff Sean Mickey Steins, 43, is accused of pumping 8 bullets into his friend Judge Kevin Mullins, 54, after entering the judge's chambers at Letcher County Courthouse on September 19th. He pleaded not guilty to murder, which has stunned the small town of Whitesburg, and resigned as sheriff. Makes sense. Like I said, they got you on camera, brother, and you came out like, okay, hands up. But let's see. I kind of wanted to maybe hop skip to some of these reasons. Like I said, getting past these picture stills. I do not want to view the gallery. Let's see. Detectives are probing a potential motive, but the shooting is thought to have unfolded after Steins discovered his daughter's phone number in Mullins' phone. CCTV footage played in court during a preliminary hearing on October 2nd showed Steins checking his phone before making a call from the judges. So essentially, he double checks to make sure, yeah, that's my daughter on the phone, on his phone. So that becomes a big, like, okay, why is that there? Like, I know you guys are like homies. Apparently, earlier in the day, they had lunch together. So, like, also, he's a bailiff in the judge's like court. So they have a camaraderie here. So you could see it's like, oh, that's a potentially unsettling theory, that maybe something untoward was happening and he made a move to be like, oh, you're not doing this to my daughter. Blam. You know what I mean? I think he shot 8 times. Also, they use the phrasing pumping. He pumped 8 shots. Once again, Daily Mail, they are undefeated for that shit. They don't care. They're going to fucking say it that way. Which, I mean, good for them. Someone got paid to write this article. Good for them. Let's see here. I want to read a little bit more. Kentucky State Police Detective Clayton Stamper testified that he was told the sheriff had tried to contact his daughter from both devices. All right, I just said that. They ate at, Street Side Grill and Bar on Main Street for lunch, only a few yards away from the courthouse. I love that they had wings and salad, $13.99 each. So that's a pretty good deal right now, with inflation, Also, inflation apparently I think has stilled. A little bit of side news there, but I don't try to talk too much about the economy. Let's see. They do go and they talk in the judge's chambers. Let's see. Where I want to scroll to. Yeah, Steins then walked out with his hands up. This is post the shooting. With his hands raised and surrendered to officers who placed him in handcuffs. He was charged with 1 count of first-degree murder. Mullins was appointed to serve as judge in the state's 47th district under former Governor Steve Beshear in 2009. Steins was elected sheriff in 2018 and re-elected in 2022. Sorry, I'm scrolling through some pictures. And this is where the one that I didn't cover last time. I want to kind of get into this a little bit. Cops confirm they are investigating a sex scandal motive among other leads in the sensational death of Mullins. One thing undoubtedly preying on the mind of Steins, who was the 54-year-old judge's bailiff before becoming sheriff in 2018, was a civil lawsuit against one of his deputies who was convicted and sentenced for rape. The 43-year-old sheriff was accused of not properly training and supervising the ex-deputy Ben Fields, who coerced a woman on home incarceration forced into sex for favors, ironically in Judge Mullins' chambers. So that was a big theory that I kind of left on the table because I wasn't like, And the third thing, which I kind of skipped over, kind of get to that, was there's a quote from Steins as he's like getting arrested, where he says, they're trying to kidnap my wife and kids, which ding, ding, ding for me, which is another reason why I wanted to reference last pod, because they were talking about where it's like, hey, it was alleged that maybe another angle here, another theory, is that Mullins, since he is a friend of the family, that there was problems at home and their wife was trying to get a divorce. So that would lead to that, like, oh, okay. Actually, I can just read it right here. When he was taken into custody, I was told by one of the other officers that he made the comment, they're trying to kidnap my wife and kid. So yeah, I mean, that's essentially, I guess, from another source. What did they say? Stamper. What have you. Sorry, there's a bunch of pictures in the way here. But yeah, so there you go. Those are the three angles that I kind of have here. Kind of just adding a little bit to the story, though. I gotta say, this is all alleged. We don't know. I really want to wait longer before I say I know which of these kind of three angles, or if there's another angle to consider. But yeah, definitely super grim, super gruesome. Once again, to say like, hey, this is on camera and shit, that's crazy. Especially if, one of these theories potentially is one of them that it winds up being true. If that's the case, that's pretty fucked up on top of it. That's giving True Detective. So yeah, I mean, who-wee. So yeah, I don't know. Usually I like to close it with something lighter, but we didn't do that today. But that's it. That's all I have. Let's see here. If you would like to help out, support the effort, become a newsie today, I do have a Patreon, patreon.com/IsaiahNews. If you'd like to send feedback, IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. Also, not just feedback, if you want to talk news to me, I love it. I would love it. Sometimes I get like leads on news stories and stuff like that. I love that. I love just generally talking about news. It's my like favorite water cooler talk these days, since I got into this. So yeah, by all means, hit my line for sure. Give me a tip. Let's see. Also free ways to hit me up if you're not the emailing type. That's okay. That's all right. For my youngins out there, my younger listeners. What do I mean younger listeners? I don't send people emails. Let me just set the record straight. I'm only sending emails to like complain to people or do like business stuff I have to do. So yeah, I hate emails. But not from you. I would say the first email I get, I'm going to screenshot. Definitely, for sure. Unless it's bad. I hope it's like not a cease and desist or something lame. But yeah, sorry. Free ways to hit me up, any of the socials, by all means. Please subscribe to the YouTube. Really helps out a lot. Love a cool comment there as well. Love a like, love a share. But yeah, getting that subscription up, trying to get a motherfucking scholarship or just get paid. You know what I mean? You feel me? But yeah, that's it. That's really all I have. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend. And hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.